Hey everyone, Scott here to discuss Arrival, starring Amy Adams, Jeremy Renner, Forrest Whitaker, and Michael Stolberg, and directed by Denis Villeneuve. Now, I do remember going to theaters thinking how impressive this movie was. Let's see if that still remains the case. Let's get into it. A professor named Louise Banks, played by Amy Adams, misses her daughter, Hannah, and how did she lose her? From a coma, and how did it cause that? We'll get there hopefully later on as we move on to her as a college professor, and her students get news about an arrival of some aliens as students and teachers, and the whole world is to be stuck at home while Luis has a nice looking house on a lake, and the visuals are neat to look at as the director of Denis Villeneuve knows how to show visuals while telling a story. Louise goes to work the next day and is approached by Colonel Weber, played by Forrest Whitaker, who's I've always thought was a tremendous actor, to see if she understands the language of the aliens as they offer her a job to help out the military, as she needs to be there to understand what the aliens are saying. And this is all during the day, but at night she's encountered by Colonel Weber in a helicopter and she packs her bags as the first 15 minutes of the movie is straight up here are the aliens and what do they want, which we'll learn a little later on. Louise meets her co-worker slash partner Ian Donnelly, played by Jeremy Renner, on the helicopter on the way to Montana. And as they get there, they see a spaceship, and that I swear to God looks like either a seed or an egg from the original Alien, which I reviewed a while back, as this movie feels like another movie I've reviewed before, like Close Encounters of the Third Kind, because it's almost the same plot as that film where they try to communicate with the aliens, but they get to some soldiers who take a little blood from Louise and Ian, and the soldiers need to know what the aliens want on planet Earth, and Louise and Ian go up to the alien spaceship, which are fantastic looking scenes and great cinematography as they go in on the side from gravity. And as they get up there, float by floating, and these shots are amazing to the point Denis Villeneuve got Blade Runner 2049 and the new Dune, which looks really good thanks to this movie. They get to talk to the aliens with a bird in a cage, and the bird was making me nervous because I thought the aliens were going to eat the bird, but they're trapped on the other side of some glass as they meet for the first time. Then we move on to the next scene as we see Ian throwing up, and according to Colonel Weber, Luis is better than the person that worked with the military before. And I do like these characters as Amy Adams and Jeremy Renner do a good job at playing the communicators, and Forrest Whitaker does a good job as playing a colonel. Luis tries to teach the aliens English and show them what they are, and the aliens tell them something with a circle, which I'm led to believe is their language, and Luis gives Colonel Weber something to describe the aliens as kangaroos as an answer to describe what these aliens are. And she asks what the aliens' purpose on Earth is, and the doors open so both Luis and Ian go out with more words to say as she takes off her gear to show the aliens what she looks like, and they show each other their hands, and Ian takes off his gear as well to show himself to the aliens to introduce themselves, as we don't really know the aliens' names, as they give Luis and Ian some symbols as names, which is part of their language, and the movie does a good job with communicating with the aliens as allies. We learn there are aliens in other countries of the world in this movie, let's say, while Luis learns their language and what they're saying by not just words, but by sentences. And Luis thinks about Hannah quite a bit, and these flashbacks are there is a good reason she has them. And I'm liking this movie thus far, and it's very pretty to look at. The acting is tremendous, and these aliens, we get to know what they're saying very well. Luis wakes up the next day, I meant, and as Colonel Weber wakes her up to explain what the aliens are doing to the world, which is not blowing it up, but playing a game with the humans that, hell, I don't even understand, as they go up to talk to the aliens and ask what their purpose on Earth is. And they say, and they use weapon. And the Secretary of State calls for Colonel Weber, and they alert the whole laboratory, as everyone is led to believe that aliens are here to destroy Earth, as the soldiers around the world want to destroy the aliens by using explosives. And Luis and Ian ask them one last question before they explode, and Luis fails a message and shows her Hannah, aka her daughter, and gives them several symbols, possibly saying, "Please don't explode us." And they make Luis and Ian float out when the bomb explodes, and that visual effects was pretty damn neat. While Luis was knocked out, and as she wakes up and finds out the soldiers' choice is to evacuate and to retaliate against the aliens, while Luis's option is going back up there to talk to them, and the alien spaceship isn't leaving, and we get flashbacks of Luis rather being a bad mom when Hannah wants the scientific word, and she says, "You want science? Call your father." Then we move on to Ian cracking a code, and they talk to their boss, who's being rather uncooperative, while she wants to talk to them about a trade. And the word that makes everyone happy that Hannah was talking about with Luis is non-zero sum game. And honestly, I'm not an expert on scientific words, nor what do they mean, but by Luis walks out on the meeting, and she goes out to the alien spaceship while they move a half a mile up, and the aliens take Luis to their ship to talk with her, as they talk about death, is Abbott. As she tells them how sorry she is, sends them a message, and they say Luis has a weapon, to use the weapon, as they want to help humanity, as every 3,000 years they need humanity help, and that makes a lot of sense with the subtitles as they explain it. And they say the child is Hannah, and Luis can see the future, and again, it makes sense on what they're saying in the first place. They drop Luis to the ground, and some military men go to the spaceship and get Luis, as they have orders to evacuate, as she has a flashback with a talk with Hannah about how she can see the future, which is quite a twist that we, the audience, could never expect. Luis looks up a language that she finally understands what the aliens are saying, as they give her the gift of knowing the future, and it's amazing how she figured it out before the twist that I didn't expect at the end as the end begins. We see Luis at a party where she meets a Chinese president, and this actor, I swear to God, looked really familiar, as he was Council Han in Rush Hour 1 and 3, I'll say, as I reviewed him there, as well as in the remake of Mulan. And Luis calls the Chinese president to tell him the truth of what the aliens want, while the military almost shoots her with Ian down, until she tells the Chinese president that she has the weapon, not the aliens, and the aliens take off from Earth, and we learn Ian is the father of Hannah, aka Luis's baby. And that was a mystery that was solved very well done, and the climax is very well done by director Denis Villeneuve. Come on, let's hear it for him. Yay. Now it's time for the rating. I'll give this movie a 8.4 out of 10. The acting is amazing, as the shots are incredible, and director Denis Villeneuve does an incredible job with the visuals. The ending wasn't what I expected, as it was amazing on how the Amy Adams character knows the future, as the cinematography is magnificent. The visuals are magnificent, and the movie does a great job showing the visuals while telling a very good story, and the movie is well done by the genius mind of director Denis Villeneuve. So we'll be back next time with Dune, his take of Dune. But first, I'm going to take care of David Lynch's Dune, and then I'll get to his Dune in a few days. So until then, it's time to make the movie look pretty.